Greetings, greetings, greetings to all of you. BT Guyon Hong Sung Mut. Good night, everyone. A pleasant good night, Monday night to each and every one of you. Today is the 19th of August. I still remember when I'm January 1st, 2024. It was like a new thing. You know, we bring in the New Year's. We make New Year's plans. Plan to eat healthier, plan to go to the gym, plan to do all sorts of things. And then January pass, we not fulfill with New Year's promises. February pass, we start think about it, we debate about it. March, April, May, June, July, we still not get there. Greetings to all of you, BT Guyon, Uruwei, I am Uruwei. This is Dangriga Unmuted, every Monday at 7:30 p.m. Join me every Monday live at 7:30 p.m. How you guys doing out there? Let me know that you are with me. Give me some feedback. Tonight, we're going to talk about land rights. We're going to talk about, they have several topics we're going to address tonight. I have two guests that will be joining me tonight. So just stay tuned, stay connected. Last week, I had Ivan Duran on this show, and we were talking about music. There's an initiative that Ivan Duran has launched or is launching. He's the director of this initiative. It's called the Belize Music Project. And we talked about an interview that he did with Jules Vasquez, which opened a can of worms. I received some calls, individuals, they wanted to come on the show and make some clarifications regarding certain things that Ivan Duran and Jules Vasquez said on Channel 7. So the man say that Lord Ray-Ban is, he popularized Punta Rock music. Well, let me clarify that. Jules Vasquez said, to Lord Ray-Ban's credit, that Lord Ray-Ban popularized Punta Rock music. And Lord Ray-Ban might also be responsible for inventing or coming up with Punta Rock music. Now, my words to Ivan Duran is, for Ivan to be who he is in the music industry and to know what he knows, he should have set that straight. He should have made the correction, but he didn't. So we are recapitulate. We are talk about that for just a bit. As soon as I bring on my guests, I have two guests tonight that will be joining me. So just hang tight, stay with me. Is there anything that you guys might want to talk about, that you guys might want to hear about, you might want to learn, you might want to address? Joy Lewis, good night to you from Boston, Massachusetts. Witi Guyon, good night to you. Who else do we have on here? Do me a favor, folks, share the live. You know, be nice, be sociable, share the live. My brother, are you with me? Gotta make sure I set up my guests for tonight will be Egbert Ihinio. We also have my brother Joseph Guerrero. We're going to be talking about land rights. We're going to be talking about Garifuna people being an indigenous people. We're also going to be talking about the powerlessness of Garifuna people in Belize. No financial backative. We are economically weak people. And therefore, because we're so economically weak, we are being, the political systems are oftentimes used against us. They pick us out and they divide us among ourselves. Now, I want to make it unequivocally clear, while I will be pro-Garifuna on this show, that's who I am. I am a Garifuna man. And I want to make it clear that we will be addressing issues that's affecting Belize across the board. Belize, Belizeans, Garifuna, Hispanics, everyone. However, if you tune into this show, you will know that Cyril Uruwei is pro-Garifuna. I'm a Garifuna man. And so I champion causes for Garifuna people. Randy Williams, Pen Cayetano is the one who makes Punta Rock popular. That's what I know growing up as a child, as a teenager. That's what I've always been told. That's what I've always heard. But you have some people who want to take credit. I asked Ivan Duran in my last interview with him to clarify, to give me examples as to how Lord Rayban popularized, if he did, popularize Punta Rock music. Let me check on my guest for tonight. Stay with me, folks. Stay with me. Don't go anywhere. I'm right here. Just making sure I have my guest all prepped, ready, so we could get into this thing. All right, don't go anywhere. saw all of you. I noticed some of you commented. Randy Williams, Joe Lewis. Remember, make a know where to sign on from. I'm setting up my guest here tonight. I have with me Joseph Guerrero, and I also have with me my brother, Egbert Ihino, aka Shaka Zulu. All right, not the Zulu minus the Zulu, right, Shaka? That included too. All right, good. Let me just do one final tweak here, and you guys will be live. As an FYI, you're not live just yet. Let me make sure that I add you guys. We have Joe, and then I gotta bring on my brother Shaka. All right. Minor adjustments here, folks. Minor adjustments. And we're live like live wire. Live like live wire. Mabuga home soon notes. Greetings, greetings, greetings. Patience is a virtue, even though it can sometimes hurt you, but tonight it won't hurt. I promise you, this show is one that you guys will want to add to the books. All right, here we go. We bring on Shaka. Boom, boom, boom. Screenshot. Very good. Let's see here. Zoom. Shaka, could you turn on your camera? Let me just make this adjustment here, por favor. All right, keep it right. Yeah, that's good. Keep it right there just so I could make the necessary adjustments. Folks, for those of you out there, I want to thank you for your patience. I need to make sure we audio set, visual set, and then everything will be lined up like Gino. All right, blessed greetings once again, everyone. Cyril Uruwei. This is yours truly, Cyril Uruwei, and this show is called Dangriga Unmuted. We break the silence and we address social, political issues. Every now and again, we get into Belize and entertainment, Garifuna entertainment. But for the most part, we try address the issues plaguing our nation, plaguing our people. Tonight, I have with me Mr. Egbert Ihino. I also have Mr. Joseph Guerrero, and we're going to be talking about Garifuna, or Garifuna as Garinago as an indigenous people. We're also going to be talking about land rights. In recent news, we see how the government of Belize is spending about $7 million. The argument from the opposition is saying that it is unnecessary. The Jews have challenged them, saying that it's unnecessary for them to be buying land in an unsuitable area for a hospital, for a university hospital. All right, but let me bring in first we're going to do an overview of tonight's show. We're going to bring in Egbert Ihino just to give us, tell us from your angle, what do you see? First, let me say that, one, we're going to be talking about Jetipia. All right, this has been something that's been going on for such a long time. Today, one moment, they can't open Jetty because XYZ. Another moment, now it is okay because other individuals come in and it just appears to be more suitable because of certain individuals or because of certain political parties that are in power. Now, my brother, let's talk about the state of Garifuna people in Belize and in relation to economic power and land rights. What's your take on that? Egbert Ihino.
Thank you, brother Uruwei, Cyril Uruwei. Thank you for inviting me to the show. I was expecting that you would play some music, you know, to open the show. Maybe you did, but
I did actually.
Okay, next time I have to listen to the music because it builds the spirit.
Of course.
You know, and shows some kind of camaraderie. But to the question of our indigeneity, right? Our being indigenous, which is an open secret, if I should put it that way, because it seems to me like the word indigenous was relatively new, for one. So not everybody will accept the full impact of what it means to be indigenous. So it seems to me that we have to engage in a serious literacy project. Literacy meaning people have to understand what it fully means. Because to a large extent, it seems that there is what I want to refer to as precipitation of ideas, right? Like a little drop in the bucket.
Mm-hmm.
And then we move on. And then we say, oh, people don't really understand what that is. And I give up. You know, I've been like preaching this for like so on and so forth.
Right.
But the word indigenous came to me quite recently too, right? Because when I was growing up, it wasn't like a very popular word. But it seems like indigenous seems palatable, more than say, for argument purposes, and I'll just throw this out there because I want to be provocative deliberately, right? And more than to say Carib. Carib might be popular in some quarters, but not in the way we would want to talk about it, right? Or we should.
Right.
And then we have Black Caribs, then you have the word Carib and corruptions and so on, right? Before we get to the word Garifuna, which is perhaps problematic and to some quarters of our communities. So there's a silencing of this serious discussion on a very national, local level too, right? People are afraid to discuss the word indigenous because just like how we were not taught our history in schools, which is an open secret, right? And my aunt and grandmother keeps telling me about the time when they were in school and they were flogged and went through corporal punishment for speaking the language, and then they would laugh. I wouldn't laugh because I thought something was wrong with that response, right? But it seems like there is a acceptance of our being silent, and also there's a certain level of content that we have been kept silent. So I want to pause right there and then pick it up, and after Joe makes some particular observations because I like his perspective on things.
Very good. Joe, let me bring you on. Joe, blessed good night, my brother. And it's good to have you on board tonight. I know you definitely have a lot. Yes,
yeah,
yes.
I think, yeah, I do have a lot to say when it comes to our Garifuna struggle. And the Garifuna struggle begins with the fact that indeed we are indigenous. You know, Cyril, I don't think our people really appreciate the power in this word indigenous. That Garinago the status that Garinago enjoy. We came to this area more than 230 odd years ago, whatever it is. And when we arrived to Belize, what is called Belize today, it was not, in fact, Belize. And so we settled all our towns and then some, all the current towns and then some, before that area was enveloped by what is now called Belize. So I do take some umbrage when 13 chapters says Garifuna came to Belize as refugees. That is such a mistaken characterization of our arrival. Because, as I say, Garifuna never arrived to Belize. It was Belize that arrived to Garifuna. It's the other way around. And that occurred in the year 1859, when the treaty for the area between Sarstoon and Sabun was signed between Guatemala and Belize and the British. That's why it's called the Border Treaty, because it wasn't a part of Belize before. Okay, so the fact that we were there 60 years prior to them signing that agreement, the treaty, it's a treaty. Prior to that, we arrived, and that makes us indigenous. But there's a lot more to the Garifuna story than just that. Garifuna's story is very deep, it's very involved, and when you understand where you come from, then you will know where you must go. Unfortunately, at this time, most Garifuna, if you say to a Garifuna person, what is your ethnicity? Don't be surprised if they repeat or if they say PUP or UDP is their ethnicity. That's how strongly we identify with those political parties which continue right in front of our face, as with this case with Jetty, sell our land right from under us, and we smile and say, do some more. Sell some more of we land, and you keep the money, and we'll love you for it. And I challenge anyone out there to show me that that's not what is happening by both of the major political parties in Belize. I don't care who's your favorite. The fact that you're Garifuna and they're selling out your land and you say, oh, wow, thank you, sir. Please sell some more. It's like we're masochists.
So let me, you know, you and Egbert, man, you've said quite a lot. And I was hesitating using those words a lot because it doesn't really explain how I feel about, you know, just listening to what both of you said earlier. Mm-hmm. We are in a very, very bad situation here in Dangriga. I listen to the media, I listen to the individuals who are responsible for Jetty talk. And the question that I always ask, right? Even before there are so many things that needed to happen before we get to this juncture, before we get to this point that didn't happen, which I will ask you to clarify in a bit, Joe. But what I always ask, okay, Jetty is finally being opened. And for the record, I am not against development, because we have some ignorant people who will say, oh, you are the only one where they oppose development. I mean, so many people will get jobs. This will bring in jobs. This will do this. This will boost the economy. But I always ask, how will this benefit the Dangriga people? How will this benefit the Dangriga people Garifuna people, not only during the process of construction. How will this benefit us, let's say 5, 10 years, 50 years after the development process? Right? That's what I asked. But let's rewind a bit, right? Now, here comes the developers. Some 2, 3 decades, 4 decades before today, before this point in time, they were hesitant to open jetty. This is a twofold question. Either you or Egbert could respond. One, why do you think they hesitated to open jetty? And two, what are the steps they needed to take? What are the steps, legal steps, fair steps they needed to take to open jetty?
Okay. Why is there a hesitation to open the jetty? As we all know, the history of that area is that it was stolen from Garina. Even all going up the road on both the left and right side are all areas that Garinago used, and it was all part of Dangriga. Going up to the jetty itself, excuse me, going there itself, Garinago used that area to fish, as we all know, and to go to Hopkins, as we all know, and to just be Garifuna. It helped us in many ways. We got a lot of supplies and etc. as Garinago from that area. And the government at one point sold all Belize's ports to one of their political cronies. Now, the problem with the jetty area in specifically is that it is a part of Garifuna traditional lands, as in the Maya land rights case precedent. And for that to be legal, when they sold it, in quotes, they were supposed to get the free, prior, and informed consent of Garinagu, or our representatives. So, in my estimation, I would never, and I'm the lands minister for the Garifuna Nation, I would never give the government permission to sell that area, because I want that to be perpetually under the sovereignty of Garinagu, because that is a part of our sovereignty, our sovereign land as Garinagu. Now, Cyril, the big problem, and we've been preaching this for many years now, but the big problem is that Garifuna refuse to believe everything that another Garifuna, myself, am teaching them. I am teaching here. I'm not asking permission. I'm not asking you if this is true. I am telling you it's true. And as a Garifuna brother, I want you to give me the courtesy of simply believing me. If you want further proof, if you need it, I can get that to you as well. But for here, right now, in our purposes, there's no reason for me to lie to all the Garinago who listen to your show. It belongs to us, because we were there before Belize came. We used it before Belize came.
So let's
for heaven's sakes, let me get this out. Gulisi lived in that area, for heaven's sakes. Okay? So it is Garifuna. It's for Garifuna now, yesterday, and tomorrow. Yes, sir. Go ahead.
I'll ask this, and if you want to chime in after Egbert, you may. I want to, you know what I have a problem with, and this is just me talking. We don't seem to understand our plight. We don't seem to understand the urgency to speak out. Not only to speak out, we don't seem to feel the urgency to act because of political victimization. So I'm going to ask you this. Do we have documents? Do we have evidence apart from just saying, okay, that's Garifuna land? Good. Because if it's indeed Garifuna land, then we have to have some type of something that we could go to and say, listen, we have the right to take this back. We have the right to say, no, we don't want you guys here. We have the right to say, if you're going to do this, we need this. All right? We need this percentage, whatever it is. So how would you respond to that? Because we just can't go say, okay, the government believes, hey, you need to respect us. This is our land. What makes us qualified to say that?
Okay. What makes us qualified, just like the Maya, and remember, the Maya land rights case is a precedent. And in this precedent, the principle is that collectively, a people can own land as if though it was an individual. That's the essence of the Maya land rights case. So any rights that you, Cyril, have to your one lot, Garifuna, as a collective, together own the entire territory called Dangriga. We own the entire territory called PG. You're asking for evidence, and again, this is where a lot of us get lost. The evidence that Maya used in court, Cyril, can you cite it?
I cannot.
Let me tell you their evidence. Their evidence was a history book. No, we are in, remember, Cyril, this is the problem here is that we are indigenous people. We do not have the same system as the British colonialists when it comes to land conveyance, land ownership, land use. So you cannot put us in the same shell as the same people who came and took our land from, like that, just took our land from us.
That makes perfect sense.
And then expect us to use their system, because then now it's no longer Garifuna land, it's for them. So the history, what's so special about indigenous special rights is that you can go to a court of law and show your history of settlement. That's all you need, a history and a history professor. We don't need land papers to say, oh, this was there and it was, what do you call those things? The guys use the little telescope to measure the land, survey, right? No, because indigenous people never survey no land.
Right. No, that makes perfect sense.
So as indigenous people who are independent and autonomous, we have the right to continue to use our system and not the government system. That's why in Judge Conte's ruling, a part of Judge Conte's order was that the government must cease and desist from using Maya land in their land tenure system. That means Belize must take all of Maya land off the land tenure books in Belmopan. That's what it means. And the same principle holds true for Garinago.
So what are we doing to rectify that? What are we doing to fix that?
Well, I think that what we are doing, especially the Garifuna Nation, is we are trying to gather our ducks in a row to go to court to have our rights recognized. Now, Cyril, it's important that you understand, that all your listeners understand. We're not going to court for a special right, you know. We are going to court for them to recognize the right we already have. Judge Conte said in his ruling for the Maya that he affirms, that word is important, affirmed the right of the Maya to their land ownership.
What is the likelihood of us
Now,
winning?
now hold on. Let's understand this. When you say affirm, you're not saying they now have special rights. What you're saying as a judge is that they have had the right all along as a collective people. They have had the right. So it's not anything new, the judge is saying. He said, yeah, they had the rights all along. That's what they're saying. And the same principle holds true for Garinago. It's our land. We've always had the right. We are the ones who are now refusing to practice those rights due to fear of the PUP and the UDP and who have white skin and who have light skin and all that nonsense. The land is ours through our historical settlement in those places. Okay? So sorry, go ahead. What's your next question?
No, that's really good. It was what's the likelihood of winning in court?
There is no, listen to, we have to get used to our power. Stop doubting yourself. When I tell you there is no difference between us and the Maya who have already set the precedent, that's exactly what I mean, my brother. I'm not pulling punches. That's exactly what I mean. We're not trying to beg PUP or UDP or any of that nonsense to recognize our rights. We're going to tell the court, this is our history. We're going to show them our history of settlement.
Egbert,
that's all we have to do.
Would you like to chime in on that? Egbert?
Can you hear me?
Yes.
All right. So I pick up the United Nations Declaration on the Rights of Indigenous Peoples, and I'll just read the proclamation saying that this Declaration on the Rights of Indigenous Peoples as a standard of achievement, right? And Article 1 is, Indigenous people have the right to the full enjoyment as a collective or as individuals of all human rights and fundamental freedoms as recognized in the Charter of the United Nations, the Universal Declaration of Human Rights and International Human Rights. So the declaration is like a moral compass, right? It sets the standard for, you know, this moral virtue of a human right.
Mm-hmm.
And if you put things in perspective, you know, the United Nations historically came about very recently, you know, 1945, thereabout, after, you know, they had completed some atrocities, killing themselves, you know, so many millions of people died because, you know, this divine king and that divine queen thought that they had all rights to their ideas and projects, and so decided to create this unnecessary war. So the United Nations declared, okay, let's like make some declarations where we respect basic human rights. So they expanded that recently to the Declaration on the Rights of Indigenous People, or I should say, Indigenous Peoples, as a form of respect, right? Now, this is nothing new, you know, because if we look towards the Middle East, the Palestinians are fighting for their rights, but they are going about in a different direction, in a different way, right, and manner. We, you know, for a large measure, we are very peaceful people there in Dangriga. You know, we don't raise our voices, we don't quarrel too much, except when it's time for celebrate, you know. But we from the Garifuna Nation think that the Garifuna people are not just about dance, drum, and rum. We think that there is something fundamentally wrong with the system. And so we are saying loud and clear that the system is wrong.
Picking up on that, Egbert,
Mhm.
The system is doing exactly what you are talking about. They are violating our human rights to be
Correct.
Garifuna.
Correct.
You understand? And that's exactly what Judge Contes said in his ruling for the Maya, that they have human rights. And if you have human rights, Egbert, a part of your human rights is your right to your land.
Correct.
And this is how Judge Conte made the connection to the Belize constitution and the rights of the collective Maya. You see? But Garifuna, we are still saying, yes, Mr. Minister, take me land, Mr. Minister, and I'll be happy, Mr. Minister. And we're climbing over each other to be a good PUP or a good UDP when we should be working together and drop both of those P's and be Garifuna and fight for Garifuna rights. If you win your Garifuna rights, or when you have your Garifuna rights recognized, you don't have to go to Belmopan for your land. You go to the Garifuna Lands Office. That's where you'll get your land. And you're not going to pay $25,000 for the piece of land. It's already your land. You're not going to pay for it.
So how do we get to that point? Because we don't have a Garifuna Lands Office.
Yes, we do, but it's just not recognized by Garinago. The Garifuna Nation, I am the lands minister for the Garifuna Nation. We decided that we're going to form our government and be prepared so that when we finish with the court case, at least we have some semblance of an office ready to tackle the issues among ourselves. We need to get the government out of our territories and stop trading our lands in the land registry system that they have, because according to the same thing that the same document that the good brother Egbert here just cited, the UNDRIP, the United Nations Declaration on the Rights of Indigenous Peoples, it'll tell you that the only way you can convey indigenous land is through the indigenous traditional system. And the land tenure system in Belize is not our indigenous traditional system.
So Bill,
we have to get used to these ideas.
Bill, Joe. So
yeah.
So let's say we get to that point where we get the government to respect or acknowledge us as Garinago, right? And to manage our own land. How do we manage the land that all the acres of land that they already sold out to other individuals? How do we deal with that?
And this is the reason why our case will be much more complex than the Maya case. There are plans, but they're not plans we want to discuss right now. We've been looking at resolutions for those things. We first have to get to the court, get our rights recognized, and stop the government from violating our human rights, which we've always had. And then after that, we have to tackle these other issues.
Can you at least comment on at least Jetty Pier, that area, Commerce Bite, in regards to when we get to that point, when we acquire, gain power, when we gain control of our land, specifically Commerce Bite, Jetty, how do we deal with that situation considering that it was sold?
Okay. The fact is that there was some land somewhere. Belize has laws, and a minister sold land to some crony who sold the land to the son of the minister. It turns around the government had to buy back the land for so much more than what the son of the minister had paid for it from his crony. So the government has ways and relief. However, what we want is our land sovereignty. That's what we want. The government is not going to make it easy. They're going to come with all kinds of argument of eminent domain in order not to give back the jetty. It's important to, they're going to come up with all kinds of stuff. They're going to have to sit at a table with us and work out some kind of resolution, I suppose. But this using of our land and continued violation of our human rights as Garina go by the government of Belize. And when I say the government of Belize, that's what I mean. I'm not attacking any one party or the other. I'm just saying no matter who's in the government, their policies violate the rights of the Garifuna collective as human beings. And we need to get used to this. You and your audience must get used to this, that your rights as human beings is what's being violated. And you have to stop the government. Tell them when they're wrong. Raise objections so they know that you're aware you're a human being with rights.
You see, Joe, it's actually, you're singing to the choir, right? I'm currently on the ground. And we speak fearlessly. I speak fearlessly. Egbert speak fearlessly. But we're only 3 individuals. And our voices, it's not loud enough. When you are here in Belize, right, you have your own Garifuna brothers and sisters who will be the first one to throw you under the bus and say to Mr. Light-skinned man, or to the kings, like how Egbert referred to them, don't worry about him. He that just, when I blow he by.
Yeah.
You know, that's
terrible.
Exactly. That's a psychological mess that
it's damage,
we are
man.
in.
It's damage.
Exactly.
It's damage.
Egbert, how would you respond to that?
Well, we have to start, like I said, not only just preach to the choir, but demand that the choir be more strategic too, right? So it's not a one-dimensional approach. It's not a one-dimensional thing that is at issue. Some people are focusing on preserving the dance. I'm good with that. But also the dancers have to be accountable to the struggle, you know? And so we got to make alliances with the dancers and the musicians. And the musicians have to understand that this is not just about getting on stage and sing any kind of song that refuses to speak at what is at issue with our people economically and socially. They got to be a little bit more responsible, right? Using these instruments that our ancestors left for them to put us more in a bucket. They should be singing songs to help us and liberate our people. And similarly to the economists who apparently have a vision or non-vision to bring Dangriga up to speed, they should become a little bit more transparent, because I condemn the behavior of behaving like a king, where we don't question your ideas and flesh things out. So the jetty pier, as Joe is saying, is a kind of aberration of our rights, because we were not properly consulted. The idea sounds like a, flippant development plan. They claim that they'll be hiring, 100 people out of a population of 10,000. It's a drop in the bucket. But we want to see it well fleshed out. And I'm criticizing the non-inclusive sort of capitalism that the government is advocating. It seems like there is no form of decentralized methodology for developing the districts. Everything is centralized in Belmopan, and a few people are making this decision. So you have a kind of monopoly, and apparently the antitrust laws, if there are any antitrust laws, are, you know, totally non-existent.
Mm-hmm.
So I think type of things I want to start grapple with, you know, what is the economic situation as it is? How many young people are employed? And you could find that out easily because every year they graduate so many, and we could just track how many people are being employed fully if there's any kind of development. And then at the same time, you have to look at the legal system, you know, which we find out as a very cumbersome system. You can't get anything done through the legal system, the judicial system, I believe, easily. You always the knock heads here and there because there's not a system, it seems.
Right.
And then we want to also look at the political makeup of our governance, because it seems like there's a monopoly, right, and a deliberate way of having our rights compromised because of the structure of the political system. So it's not a one-dimensional thing that is at issue. There are several things at issue, and we need a collective body of brains like you and others who could sit down and think this thing out. You know, it's like you're building, you know, a community, which is not equivalent to building, you know, a small thing where I'm saying like kindergarten, but you're building a community which includes so many variant things, you know, and so it's not an easy matter for just one person to think that he has all the ideas. And I'm questioning this this sort of capitalism that seems non-inclusive to certain people. I'm advocating for an inclusive form of capitalism. You know, some of my friends would want to say, you know, again, capital and abandon socialism. But the whole issue is that one person, one family seems to be gobbling everything up.
Yeah. How strong is the Garifuna Nation in terms of numbers and in terms of publicity? Joe?
If there is one Garifuna willing to go to court, present their evidence for the rights of Garinago, the human rights of Garinago in Belize, then that one person will change the entire future and trajectory of all the others who won't help. They will still benefit from what that one single person does. So I can tell you, there is a very powerful Garifuna organization in Belize who have done to me more harm than the government of Belize to Garinago. That's how I characterize it.
Are we talking about NGC?
I hesitate to even call their name, but like I said, there's a powerful group who even violates the human rights of the Garinago. They themselves say that they are looking over. And that is provable.
Are we talking about
That's
NGC?
why I say it. Well, like I said, I don't want to call their names and go into all that stuff. You know what I mean?
You know what is one of our biggest problems, Joe and Egbert? I have no problem being the black sheep. I have no problem being blacklisted. I have no problem whatsoever. I said this during my my last live. I said this to an elder who I respect so much. This elder was telling me about a situation that I am certain most Garifuna people don't know was about certain history about Garifuna people. And I had known, I've heard of this story before, and I said to this elder, I said, you know, I assumed what you were telling me. I had assumed it. And I was almost certain that it happened. Now, I was getting the information from the horse's mouth. And so this elder went on to say, you know what? We as Garifuna, Garinagu, we shouldn't air our dirty laundry out there. That's part of being Garifuna, that we don't go out and call out each other. But I see that's bullshit without apology, because that's what keeping us down. That's what keeping us stagnant. That's what keep perpetuating the hypocrites, the powers of the hypocrites. Most of our elders today, they have betrayed us, they are betraying us, and they only care about themselves. So if we're going to make Garifuna stronger, we're not going to make ourselves stronger by covering the atrocities and the hypocrisy of our brothers and sisters. That is not going to fix it. And I have a big problem with that. I'll pause.
I hear you.
And let you or Egbert chime in.
Yeah, I hear you loud and clear, and I agree 100%. I think one thing that I learned from my own mentor, my brother, is that we have to choose our battles carefully. And right now, the way I see it, the trajectory, the overbearing thing that I think we have to accomplish is to go to court and have ourselves being recognized as human beings first. We'll get to a lot of other things. We'll get to it. But before this generation here, leaves Earth, let's make sure we put our children on the right track. Let's get us back our lands. Let's get us our sovereignty, etc. We'll deal with the internal stuff. We will. But right now, in my own crosshairs, is that court case that we have to pursue as Garinagu. And we need the support of all Garinagu everywhere. And especially in Belize. We don't need for us to be split asunder because this one is with this minister and they're going to stab another Garifuna in the back for a stranger.
That's happening already. Do you have hope that we're going to come together, all of us, for this fight to win this battle?
Personally,
Joe, I am pessimistic about that. I believe...
I don't blame you. I don't blame you.
I believe that there's just a handful of Garifuna people, Garinagu, who will stay the course.
Yes.
Who will stand strong, stay the course, and do what needs to be done.
Now,
I am very pessimistic about... Go ahead.
My brother, I sympathize and I feel deeply for you for feeling this way. It's not undeserved. It truly is deserved. Because I would not be surprised when we go to court that the government will bring Garifuna to say our land is not for us, it's for the government. That's how damaged we are. I would not be surprised. However, being an optimist myself, although I don't see any way through these dark clouds of Garifuna interaction with each other. I still have confidence, man, that one day, and I hope it's before we leave Earth, they will wake up and stop stabbing each other in the back for political parties and start working together for our own best interest as Garinago.
You said,
yeah, I do think, yes, that we will be able to overcome all of this darkness and all of this stabbing in the back that we're doing right now. Yes, I believe we will recover. It may not be in our generation, but we will recover. But we, people like us, have to set us back on the right road. That's a sacrifice that we make, to set our people back on the right track, and at least do our part and be like the Chinese in this instance, where if we don't accomplish it, we give the dream to the next generation and tell them to give it to the next generation until they accomplish it. A long time ago, what's his name, Zhu Di, I think the first emperor of China, wanted to bring the entire world under China's rule, and to have the whole world paying taxes to China. They think the emperor has not done it, but who makes everything we use in all over the world? China. We're paying dues to China because they kept that dream. And I think that's something we owe our generations to give that to them.
Look at what happened. When Briceño, the Prime Minister of Belize, put out a statement. Egbert, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here.
When Briceño put out a statement saying that anyone throughout the 31 constituencies could apply to run up against the current standard bearer, knowing darn well that they knew the different districts or the different constituencies that they will allow, and will not allow. They knew before the application went in that they were not going to allow anybody to run against Louis Abani. But they wasted my time as a Garifuna man. And I'm saying this to make a point, not to say, oh, pity me, because I pity my people before I even pity myself. Wasted my time, wasted my money. Still, there was a 3 weeks to a month phase where I had to wait. I was instructed that I couldn't campaign until I get a response. While I was waiting, there were individuals, their chosen one in Corozal, campaigning before they even announced who was accepted and who was rejected. They had a by-election in Toledo East. They picked an individual who wasn't even from the area to run up. And the man win. What happened in Dangriga? Our very own people. When I handed in my application, our very own people were the ones who went against me. Our very own people. So, I'm saying all this just to say, what hope do I have in our people to stand up with spine, to stand tall, and be Garifuna, and claim or reclaim our rights, our right to land? The hope that I have in our people, my brother, is very, very, very slim to none. Because they will rather take $100 today that's only going to feed them for one day, not even a week, before they stand up and unite and stand up to fight against the rapist here in Belize. Gudemetwa. We're very poor. We are economically spineless.
Yeah, that's very, very telling of our position as Garinago people who would put Garifuna first. That's an unfortunate thing that I think we've lost, but we have to gain it back. So yes, I speak about the downfalls, but I also speak about how we can get it back. But first, let's go to court. Let's put our priorities in order. The political party stuff that Garifuna goes through, I don't think it's very healthy. There was even a time when some guy said, when I see that one there, he's UDP. I cross the street because I don't want to walk on the same side of the street. I said, that's some sick stuff, man. If you go that far, just know this, you are sick. You've gone too far. You're losing your humanity.
Don't worry. We are psychologically ruined. We're damaged. We're damaged.
But let me play devil's advocate, right? I'll take the position of being in what I want to refer to as metaphorically being in a cave, right? And a few of us get out of that cave, that darkness, and get a vision and a light. And then we want to come back to the community and share that light. So it always seems to me at the early stages of sharing that light, it's very difficult for the community to fathom, right? Because sometimes the light could be blinding. So sometimes I think the messenger or messengers need to fine-tune the people in marketing would say the marketing strategy, right? So there is a strategy for new ideas to take hold. And I, particularly from the Garifuna Nation perspective, have to use like multiple levels of approaches. One is the legal strategy. One is also what I call the political literacy, right? Where you keep talking about these ideas to generate interest and work with the people who could see the sense of allegiance and alliances, right? So that is one, of cooperation. And then you have to also look at economic opportunities, small opportunities that you could make bigger. You have to look at the economic. And then and then there are some other things too that would involve like the spiritual, which I'm not thinking about any form of totemism, but a kind of moral compass that would take us to a different point. And we start small and, grow the interest. I think for a certain level, the Garifuna Nation has contributed on a level of consciousness. It's growing, it's taking its time, if we measure how we are moving. But I think we need to form alliances with other groups and individuals who could help us, cross to the next river. Now, just my perspective, with regards to the jetty pier, it seems to me like one or two groups of people, I have a problem with a certain form of capitalism, right? In its essence. And I think we need to like tear these plans apart and show that they're just a bunch of nonsense and people are just in continuum with the exploitative nature of capitalism, which doesn't have to be that case. It's only in Belize that the corruption is very obvious and people in the middle class don't say anything because they are friends, you know, a small little community that seems everybody's a friend of the minister, and because they are getting trinkets, they don't want to make a comment to improve the system in which you are saying like, this system is the greatest good for the greater number. But you can't say that this particular thing, which is the Jetty Pier initiative, is a great good for a greater number of people. It seems like it's a good for a few. So I want to look at this whole thing and tear it apart, because apparently the economist is not coming out as transparent as we would like them to be, and the legal system is not even helping us. So we got to do this work and this heavy lifting so that we don't sound like we are just angry about nothing. We are annoyed because seems to be a conspiracy and it is blatant.
And disrespectful, I might add.
Right, yeah. So, and why they didn't open the Jetty Pier many years ago is because their ideas were not well, you know, percolated for us to come to the public. You know, so then do all this meandering and gerrymandering behind the curtains and then surprise us with the corporate media, because most of the media are on the hook, you know, some form or shape. We don't have no serious, investigative journalism. It seems like all the journalists in Belize, except for a very small minority, are corporate. They are being paid for. So if you have to pay for your news, you know you're getting a biased political perspective. So what is our role as advocates for, you know, social justice? Is we have to start work and build on this literacy together and keep having them kind of discussions, because these discussions do help people raise more questions, and then we form alliances moving forward.
Yeah, you said
Exactly.
something.
And I might say that that's why you hear me in this medium and other medium, Joe Guerrero, and I'm always fiery, but I want to touch people so they can start asking questions. Ask. That's how we're educated, man. We have to ask questions.
Yeah, why they hesitated to open Jetty Pier some decades ago is because it wasn't beneficial for them. What the people at Dangriga is refusing to understand is they're not doing us a favor.
Exactly.
Everybody is rallying up and making noise. Oh, they are bringing business to Dangriga. And if you read the document from the developer, which I have a copy, the stipulations, man, they are not doing us a favor. This is not for us. This is not for Dangriga.
You have a copy? You have a copy?
I do.
Could you read, or maybe next time we meet, have a good read of that? Send me a copy so that I could read it.
Definitely.
I have what, 200 jobs? You have about 200 jobs in a population of 10,000 people. Right?
It is not beneficial for us. You know the amount of the amount of tax break they're gonna be getting. You know, no, there are stipulations in there, and I'm paraphrasing. I'll send you both a copy that states, right? I'm only paraphrasing, that states if the developer, quote unquote, run out of money or not have enough money to fund the project, he can sell it to whomever he please.
Well, then that's an ownership thing.
So
he can sell what? He can sell the contract, or he can sell the land.
Right.
He can sell his right to it. He can sell his right to use it. I mean, what is he selling? You know, that's not really clear.
I will forward the document to both of you. But the thing is, right, my point is this. We jump up and they hooray and all this BS because of under the plea of development. And
yes.
So,
go ahead, Egbert.
Cyril. Okay, so it's one the developer, is it a corporation made up of several individuals who have shares, or is it just one person?
From my understanding, it's more than one individual, but let me send you the document so you could read it for yourself.
I would love to read it and then come back and discuss it further.
That would be great. I'd love for us to do that. But you know, I just want to appeal to the audience, and especially for those of you who live in Dangriga and who have ties to Dangriga. Please ask the right questions. I am not anti-development. I'm not against development. If there is development in Dangriga to benefit Dangrigana, Garifuna people, I am all for it. But let's ask, how will it benefit us and for how long? Make we not just talk about during the construction phase that people are get jobs. How will and then again, and I'll just digress just a bit, nothing remote from what we're talking about. There's another project that is, I think it's tied to this whole jetty thing, north of Calramo Stadium, a multi-purpose park, right? Again, they're showing us a model of this multi-purpose park, but they cannot tell us how we will benefit from it just yet. Shopping centers, shopping areas, stalls, booths for vendors. Who will be managing this area? How will we benefit? You know, so many things to talk about, Joe and Egbert. Our Cyril, people, yes.
So I want to look at the documents, because I understand that there are some economists involved in these projects. So if we have some economists in this project, I have some serious questions as to the model, right? As to the model of tourism venture, you know, in terms of how much money they're going to put in there and who will be the benefactors. So let me just make a general statement. It seems to me that the politicians of Belize, the government of Belize, as Joe would say, are not interested in Garifuna people being owners of production.
Bingo.
So that's a general statement, right? They are not interested in us being owners of the production forces. They seem to be interested in us being consumers. That's a topic for future deeper discussion. So I want to read the document, because the document is supposed to be some public. The documents, whatever contracts the government of Belize have with these developers, should be public. So let's have a how you call it, a forum where we talk about these public documents in the public. And hopefully at some point in time, we could get the minister and the mayor in this discussion to respond to our questions.
Good luck.
I wish to raise my strong objection to moving forward with anything at the jetty without the free, prior, and informed consent of Garinago. Now, it's important to understand, Cyril, when I say free, prior, and informed consent of Garinago, I'm not talking about town council. Town council does not represent Garinago. Even if the individuals are Garifuna, they do not represent the interests, the human rights of Garifuna. They only represent their party's agenda. That's it. They have no interest in Garifuna dual, preserving it, preserving our land. They just do what they're told. So the town council cannot be considered a Garifuna Garifuna anything, except it's the town council, and that's it. Okay? So that means there is a space for Garifuna representation so that we have people we can go to who we can say, we need to know what's going on here for Garinago, not for a town council. Town council is not the equivalency of Garifuna. Okay, town council is Belize, it's not Garifuna. So we have to make these distinctions clear so that we understand the dynamics better of what's going on in Belize. So if they say they consulted the town council, okay, congratulations. You didn't consult Garinago. That's the problem. We have a human right to our territory and free, prior, and informed consent. Now, where is that epic? Who gave it? If no one gave it, then I object to the entire thing and I want it scrapped. Joe Guerrero, Lance Minister of Garifuna Nation, if they didn't get a free, prior, and informed consent from Garifuna Nation, from Garifuna representative, then I don't consider it legal.
Yeah.
They
You're
could
right
go
there,
ahead
Jay.
and do it in front of my face, but I don't consider it legal, and I will fight it when the opportunity comes.
Definitely.
But you're right there, Joe.
Listen, man. I just think that we have to be more serious. We're not respected, Joe. We're not respected, Egbert. They don't respect us. Our own people don't respect us. The powers that be. You know, Garifuna, they say, "Mabahu da lumut na," or they don't, they're like, you know what we are? When you open a bottle, we are just the cap. We secure the substance inside. And when they open the cap there and fling the cap wherever it land, that's the way it land. That's us. That's us. So how do we get them to respect us? How do we get our own people to respect us? I stated my last session, I have yet to see a Garifuna man, a Garifuna woman, a Garifuna leader who is working toward empowering the Garifuna people economically. None. I know of none. So how do we gain respect? Because we are just the voice in the wind. Oh, Egbert over there, Joseph over there, so Cyril Uruwei, no worry about he, whatever he say right now, that is just a blow in the wind. How do we gain respect?
Well, you have to look at I'll just say that we are presently looking at some economic projects, and which we are not divulged right now. But we are looking at some economic projects with a small group of people, and we'll explore the marketability of those projects. That's all I'll say for now.
Joe?
I don't believe that our people respect each other. I think we respect the minister and his family more than we respect each other. And that's a sad thing, but I think we can still come to our senses. And I believe that once we get to court and people see the power of the court in getting your human rights recognized, then they will begin to turn around and see, hey, this is possible, and maybe we could lend support to these people who are doing this for us. That's my vision, that's my hope. And I hope my people don't let me down. We need their help.
I hope so too, Joe. Well, Anahaya, I am here. I have no intention to back down. What's happening in our town, what's happening in our country, it's abuse, you know, the political victimization, the advantage taken. They know us. They know us. There is a machine, there is a system in place that they pull out every year. I watch, actually you shared the live from UBAFU Garifuna, the live that they had yesterday. The era rep was on. Listen, man, I guess for me, Cyril Uruwei, I might always come across dissatisfied because I am. I might always come across as if though I have someone to challenge or to point finger at, because there are so many people who have wronged us and who keep wronging us. And we don't do nothing about it. We do absolutely nothing, Egbert. We do absolutely nothing, Joseph. We are powerless.
So we gotta address that issue about power, right? And this media is your media is powerful, Brother Cyril. And I'm not saying that in a very, I want to say it with some, I'm genuine about it. All people are not totally poor. Why do I say this? We have land. I want to change the discussion a little bit. We have land. I mean, if we were to compare some of our folks in Hopkins, Georgetown, seen by Dangriga PG, and as the Joseph Minister of Land would do, is count. I would say there's a population of about 20,000, 30,000 Garifuna people in Belize. And count how many acres we had owned before some group would say, well, some of that land was lost. And I would say to you, some of that land was stolen. If we just count how much acres of land we have compared to when some was stolen, I would still say to us, we do have some equity there, Now what we do, you are asking what we're going to do with all this land. We could plan it out, and depending on how we think it out in terms of the project, and it's going to take some time, right? Because if each Garifuna person would develop 1 acre of land, 1 acre, each person would know how to make 1 acre very productive. You would become an independent person to a large extent. But we have been mentally enslaved, right? To look for work outside of our own community. But if a couple of us would meet, let's say if we had so many young men that would take on a project and say we're going to produce 300 acres of this particular project, 300 acres, which is not a lot in the measure of anything. 300 acres is not quite a lot. But how many guys could we get for, 30 guys, 30 serious men with 10 acres each, 300 acres, and we produce something that could make an impact in our community? We could do it. right? We can. The problem will be, where do we market? How do we have a chain of, what economists would call a chain, a cash flow, so that it doesn't become a one-shot thing? And that's why I'm worried about any tourism project that anybody is thinking about. How will that tourism project be entertained or
The
suffice or make self-sufficient? Our people have to be prepared and convinced that we could do it.
the
But right
stoic
now, the leadership doesn't seem to be interested in giving our people the capacity to become involved. It is becoming more like a one-man thing, a one-man show. And I have a problem with that form of capitalism, which is based on monopoly.
only, there's, and this will be my last words on this, Egbert and Joe. And Joe, you could give your final word as we close off. The Stoic, they say, memento mori. There's this saying, right? Memento mori, it simply means remember, you are mortals. You will die. And I said this to a friend not too long ago, and this friend said to me, "Oh, no, be so, you gotta be positive, man. You gotta be you gotta think positive. Remembering that we will die doesn't mean that we're thinking negative. It helps us, at least it helps me, to remember each and every day that I live, to make the best of each day that I live." So I said that to say this. Egbert, you have a lot of fire in you. There are goals you want, things that you want to see for your people. Joe, you the same. Who's coming after you? What are we securing for tomorrow? What are we securing as a contingency plan? What are we preparing? This is serious. We are at the bottom. And this, I don't know, doom and gloom for me, right? Otherwise, I wouldn't be here. But I'm listening to both of you wise men, and you've issued great wisdom tonight. And I hope that our audience, that they they soak in something, and they'll be able to use what we are delivering tonight for the future, for tomorrow. But please, let's always remember that we're mortals, and tomorrow is promised to no man. Joe?
Thank you, Cyril. It's a pleasure being here with you and Egbert. I think that Garinago, we got off track where we started to identify as a PUP or UDP, then we identify as Belizean, then we identify as Garifuna. When people ask me where I'm from, I say I am a Garifuna from Belize because I'm proud. That's who I am. That's what I am. And I hope that this kind of pride returns to us en masse, that we remember the noble warriors we were. Joseph Chatoué and those other chiefs were world-class diplomats. Garifuna established treaties with the French and treaty with the British, a feat that our big PhDs, all of them put together, could probably never accomplish. So we come from a noble line of good, caring leaders we know they cared because they died for us. Let's not embarrass their memory. Let's get back on track. Let's be Garifuna once more, for each other, with each other, by each other. And stop letting people split us asunder and make us stab one another in the back. That is very unhealthy. And I think it needs to end. So let's end it. Let's go to court, come strong behind the Garifuna Nation, and we'll do this together. Thank you.
Thank you, Joe. In a nutshell, we're past our time. We're scheduled to end at 9, but in a nutshell, where are we in going to court? Just briefly.
I said earlier that we're putting our ducks in a row, and we're nearly ready. So, of course, when it's time, when we file, we'll be transparent. We'll let the people know that we filed, and believe me, it will make big news in Belize. So everyone will be informed at that point. But we don't want to tell anything else about our strategy.
That's fair
but
enough.
Yeah, a case does have to be filed at some point. Yes.
Very well, folks. This is Dangriga Unmuted. I am Cyril Uruwei. Tonight I had with me Joseph Guerrero. Joseph is an expert when it comes to land. He is a member of the Garifuna Nation, and I also have with me Mr. Egbert Ihinio. Egbert has always been a Garifuna activist. He is for everything Garifuna. Gentlemen, thank you so much for your time. Thank you for your wisdom. Definitely, let's do this again soon. I will schedule another session where I could bring you on, and we will review that document that we talked about. Until we see each other again, I say ayo, mabuga. Good night.
Ayo, mabuga.
Ayo, sir.
Ayo.
Esto va para los inicuos que le gusta engañar a mi pueblo.
Hey yo, remember, fast and promotion. November 17, remember good. When half the OG brothers in Hopkins village catching a fire with La Soba and the OG brothers. Te juro que no vuelvo a enamorar. Yo viviré cantando mejor. Me divierto y vivo muy feliz. Con mi punta rock hasta el amanecer. No volveré. Yo me voy lejos de ti. Higgy bye. What's that? Mamma mia. This is me, La Sopa, keep it. Remember, the 17th Hopkins village will catch a fire with the OG brothers, I tell you. Yes, man. All right, the 17th. Hopkins. Wait for me, I'm coming. This is La Sopa from the Sons Incorporated. Remember those beautiful, lovely jamming over there, watching that. This is Sai, La Sopa.
Yo me voy lejos de ti, no volveré. Yo me voy lejos de ti. Magiri butu batina, Titi bati se voy. Magiri butu batina. Esto va para los inicuos que le gusta engañar a mi pueblo.
Hey yo!
Esto va para los inicuos que le gusta engañar a mi pueblo.
Hey yo, remember, now remember, fast and promotion, November 17, remember good. We'll have the OG brothers in Hopkins Village catching a fire with La Sopa and the OG brothers. Te juro que no vuelvo a enamorar. Yo viviré cantando mejor. Me divierto y vivo muy feliz. Con mi punta rock hasta el amanecer. No volveré, no volveré, no volveré. Yo me voy lejos de ti. Higgy bye, higgy bye, higgy bye, higgy bye, higgy bye, higgy bye. What's that? Mamma mia! This is me, La Sopa, you know, keep it, remember? The 17 Hopkins Village will catch a fire with the OG brothers, I tell you. Yes, man. All right. The 17. Hopkins. Wait for me, I'm coming. This is La Sopa from the Sons Incorporated. Remember those beautiful, lovely gentlemen over there? Watch with that. This is right. La Sopa.
Yo me voy lejos de ti, no volveré, no volveré, no volveré. Yo me voy lejos de ti. Magiri mutu batina, magiri mutu batina, magiri mutu batina. Titi batin se voy, magiri mutu batina, magiri mutu batina, magiri mutu batina. Esto va para los inicuos que le gusta engañar a mi pueblo.
Hey yo, remember, now remember, fast and promotion, November 17, remember good. We'll have the OG brothers in Hopkins Village catching a fire with La Sopa and the OG brothers. Te juro que no vuelvo a enamorar. Yo viviré cantando mejor. Me divierto y vivo muy feliz. Con mi punta rock hasta el amanecer. No volveré, no volveré, no volveré. Yo me voy lejos de ti. Higgy bye, higgy bye, higgy bye, higgy bye, higgy bye, higgy bye. What's that? Mamma mia! This is me, La Sopa, you know, keep it, remember? The 17 Hopkins Village will catch a fire with the OG brothers, I tell you. Yes, man. All right. The 17. Hopkins. Wait for me, I'm coming. This is La Sopa from the Sons Incorporated. Remember those beautiful, lovely gentlemen over there? Watch with that. This is right. La Sopa.
Yo me voy lejos de ti, no volveré, no volveré, no volveré. Yo me voy lejos de ti. Magiri mutu batina, magiri mutu batina, magiri.